I am not ready for this. I am not ready for this at all. Hiya, Borkers, especially the patrons that are listed on the screen before you. These are the ones that have given me more than just the support that you guys are giving me right now, and I would like to thank them very much. And if you want to be just like them, go ahead and click on the Patreon link in the description. At least $1 a month gets you on this list. More will give you additional benefits. Enjoy the video. Hi Borkers, I'm Jalen Fulf, and this is a very special video. I did not expect to come back to reacting to some old videos of mine from well before I started making Let's Plays. And this is one of those videos where things around YouTube's changes can get a real bit on the tricky side, don't you guys think? I'm going to give a little history of this particular one. I'm going to take you guys all the way back to August 2007. This was during a time when I had just come back from a vacation from St. Thomas, US Virgin Islands. I was still a young teenager back then, when I was still getting ready to start my time in high school, and was unsure of how I was gonna maintain my YouTube channel. Did I want to continue on with Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 related stuff, even though, yeah, back then I would not have known about the whole Atari situation today. Flash forward a few years, give it about 10 years later, and YouTube's Content ID finally hits the fan with this particular one. Why is that? Because the original video used Scatman John. I'm gonna switch this over to the video, and it starts out black screen for a good reason. Let's just jump right in and see what this video is all about. Now, the person who did upload this onto their channel in memory of the original video did not leave the original music in because I believe at the time it was posted, there was a copyright issue as well with the owners of the Scatman John songs used. So he put his own music in. But I'm going to leave the video, to put it into perspective, without the music that they put in. Just if it makes a lot of sense to you guys. So without further ado, here's my reaction. And I told you I wasn't ready for this. So yeah, it fades into white, and you can see up on the top there, add GIF unregistered. This is also a very big weakness for newcomers as well. They end up getting unregistered content, and ultimately it just leaks into the footage. And yeah. Now, as you can see, I created myself a little GIF to at least attempt to make a little intro, but what ended up happening is, it's a small intro, no music, it divides between red and blue, and there's a little green plumb bob squished in somewhere in there. Yes, that is the shape of the Sims plumb bob. Editing Jalen, can you please put the Sims logo up for comparison, please? Okay, let's move on. Oh, and this one. Upload Corner, a company of 13. Do you guys remember that? Oh, I mean, for those of you that have been with me long term, you guys would understand that that was the original voice I had for, say, much of the content that I was doing before Let's Plays. This has been abandoned since 2012 when I started doing Let's Plays, and the first one I did was a couple of tests of Happy Wheels, and then moved on to Slender the 8 Pages, as you could see from the history of things. But then with that, well, the rest is history. Now, I'm just going to proceed with the rest of the video. It does suddenly jump to black to try and tell you, oh, it's done. Welcome to our eye-catching amusement park. Probably not eye-catching if you think about it. Enjoy our healthy environment. See, this is why I told you guys that I got inspired by the original Death Zone. For those of you, if you want to see it, it's going to be in that eye up above. this is one of those things, because a lot of the stuff you're about to see, you see a lot of the same things in the original Death Zone, rather. So, we'll work with that. But anyway, enjoy our healthy environment. Healthy, you may say? Well, we may beg to differ when I show you... Ick. And and this is also another thing, too. The one weakness of recording with the UI up above here, you have the stuff over here, and then guest windows. I used the cheat code Make Me Sick to make every single one of these guys just vomit. And right in the background over here, too, you could see one of the coasters as well. Probably, if you think about it, in the original Death Zone, you really didn't see the coasters actually built until later on when you when they start showing up. And that was because they were doing it sequentially. They were just building it as they went. I, on the other hand, decided instead, oh, I'm just going to build everything right from the get-go. Hey, who wants to be different with their stuff? But again, it's the one weakness of not being able to hide the UI. Or at least not knowing how to do it. We treat our guests very nicely. Again, the effort of comedy is just there. And if you can wait for this, I don't know why I put blue, yellow, green, and occasional red balloons in my park and a balloon stalls to make it work. But I guess you could probably say that whatever's gonna... Yup! The buggy has arrived. How to get that in RCT3 is to name a guest James Hunt, and when that happens, a buggy will appear in your window, which you can put in with Coaster Cam and control with the WASD keys. You can also control the WASD keys without Coaster Cam too. But what comes at a cost here is your controls with the camera if you're playing on windowed mode. Luckily for us, what we can say is using the arrow key sometimes works too. And if you wanted to delete the buggy, it was able to be deleted as scenery. So that was a good news. I just didn't know about it at the time and somehow just kept it. That might have just been me, but okay. But anyway, we have rides to interact with guests. Interaction, as in you're about to see this. Look at this. If you ever were around or during the time that I was starting YouTube, 2006, 2007, there were a lot of RCT3 videos out there with the title of just simply Peep Bowling. That was one inspiration for many people that were like, yeah, we could do this. And I've seen other bowling type things with on a much grander scale than just the one coaster that I put in here. God, I wish I still did that. But again, the weakness of not being prepared for machinima, and I was still very cringy. This is technically very cringy for me. I cannot emphasize enough how much I hate this one to this day. Enjoy our Tour of the Seas. Tour of the Seas. Do you want a submarine? No, we give yourself a hop-on, hop-off transport tram right into the water. You get every single one of those babies in, and just like that, the only one left out! And the only one left out, just that single car. Just that single car left behind. You think it'll get in? I don't know. Maybe it was the technical limitations, I'm not sure. Go ahead, ride it. Well, I would have said something. Splash! Now, before I go further with this, I do want to point out something very, very important with this one. And this one involves the water scenery in RCT3. Because there was very strict limitations with how the graphics were done in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 and in general, the underwater graphics weren't necessarily implemented in the original copy of the base game. but was actually implemented in the expansion pack Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Soaked, I believe it was. So, that's one thing. The other thing is in the previous RCT3 Death Park, before this one even came up, I had a commenter ask me for next time to just have something in the water. I tried to do that with a couple of my rides for the original, and that was a limitation that I was very annoyed with and just couldn't do. So, yeah, things happen. Enjoy our famous rides. They have perfect safety records. To claim perfect safety records is what I'm gonna say right now, and I'm also commenting on this from a viewer's perspective, or at least from a guy who's probably taking this very seriously rather than just taking it like a comedic fashion, because I'm an adult. You're looking at a guy who did this as a teen. I don't think it's gonna go well. At all. The Dizzy Pit. And yes, this is the particular one that, this is the particular one you saw in the beginning with the whole Make Me Sick scene. This is the coaster that I tried teasing. And if you think about it, I did not have any way. I just chose to leave the camera as is throughout the whole thing, and you'll see it. And I did intentionally skip the chain lift there. And many RCT3 people who did show-offs for their coasters, like on RCT Go and stuff like that, they would also skip the chain lift if necessary, because it's time-consuming. It's just time-consuming to go through the whole thing. And I even did the same thing when I did my RCT3 Let's Play. So yeah, carries over. Now, lovely speaking, because now we're talking about, let me scroll back a few seconds. Notice those scenery? They were intentionally trying to hide the fact. They're intentionally trying to hide and make peeps believe, or me rather. I intentionally wanted to make it look like it was all hidden, but I failed. Why? Because I did not know in a particular scenery menu in this game there was the option to add floating terrain. And the walls weren't necessarily natural either. Plus, on the other hand, it was possible to make underground coasters. I didn't know. I was very, very limited in terms of what I could do with my scenery. I did not know about the terrain back then. But moving on, we continue on with, oh, and just notice, I already had peeps ride the whole thing, and look, surely enough, they'd fall into the hole just as that. Probably to spend the rest of their lives there. Zero-G Dump. I did intentionally put left and right sides. Now, Zero-G Dump. I did intentionally showcase left and right sides. For good reason, too. And that was the fact that, yes, I could put synced rides in and intentionally have them fall right into the abyss below. And you can see some peeps jump in. But my weakness with, if you remember, on RCT3 itself, you were able to make your own films by just hitting a specific combination. And the weakness of that is that while it was recording, you would end up unfortunately getting like 1 frame per second of the data. So the fade out was actually before it actually touched the ground, and it was my mistake for ending the thing early. And I don't know if it even happened here as well. Let me just see. They actually landed, and I abruptly end. That was the big weakness of the 1 frame per second. So yeah. Wet collision. Yes, this is another one of those things. If you also watched the original RCT3 Death Park back in 2007, you would also understand that this one was also done, but I didn't make it a giant flume because of limitations with the base game. I made a dinghy slide. That one was faster, and I had a version without the patches. And for those of you that know about the whole dinghy slide patch fix thing, that also broke the dinghy slide. Which is why I hated the dinghy slide after that patch, and probably had good reason to limit myself to what I could do with the dinghy slide after that. It might just be me, but I kind of learned a little bit from that patch. But anyway, wet collision. I did also intentionally put left and right sides on this one as well to show off that yes, you could see both sides. And if you look carefully, you could see that yes, both tracks were made to look like they were joining. And you could see it right here in this outside instant replay. But to make it even better, what I don't show in this video is on the back end, right near the station, you could see like a little S-bend thingy. I mean, I can probably show you how I originally did it. But, yeah, I mean, I can show you guys how I originally did it. That little extra straight path was just to make it fit. Other than that, back to what was on the back end. Just a hairpin. For those of you that don't know how to make a hairpin, it's easy with tracks that are able to make a tight turn in one square. But for those that have their tight turns 2 squares, it gets even harder because you got to add 2 S-bends. And that's how I entered the back end to make this look like yes, it was a complete circuit when it actually isn't. And yeah, good reason to think about that. And that was my biggest weakness too. Is just I wouldn't say it's a weakness. It was more of a. I would say it was more of some sort of genius to think about this. Now, just a fake, I made this one a tilt coaster on good reason as well. And if you look carefully, yes, it makes it look like the coaster's complete, but carefully have a look in front of you. You think those are block brakes that are just going to speed up and boost and make the whole coaster have a test rating of ultra extreme, right? Well, if it makes a slow approach, you may also notice something below this track. It makes a slow approach. You think it's going to speed up, but no, it doesn't. But then, it rewraps itself to make it fall right smack on top of some guests. I still regret making this one because I generally think I just hate it. And there's a good reason too, because this was just dumb stupidity on my part when I was just so bored with nothing to do, with nothing to even think about. I didn't even have any friends, true friends back then. Everyone that, by the time I was making this, everyone that I was wanting to look like they were in Upload Corner, we all graduated from middle school and we're moving on to something else, so what could I say except leave the A Company of 13 on there to make it look like there was something. It was a bad slogan to think about this. Now, Heartline Dumping Crash. I loved playing with the Heartline coaster on this one, even though I went about my way with the design itself. In all intents and purposes, this is designed to be just a simple straight coaster with nothing else added to it. Judging from the looks of things, you could actually say to yourself, oh, I could really do this. But then, when you look at this very carefully, watch this. It can go down, true, but also notice, I thought I originally made an underground section there. I guess I was just wrong in saying that, but I guess I was kind of conservative in that and was really trying to make it look like it was the original Death Park again. But I guess I was wrong. Anywho, with that out of the way, we can now move on to, say, the crash! I don't remember if I did a external view from this one, but if I did remember it, it would probably be in either Death Park 3 or Death Park 4, both of which are no longer on YouTube as well. For those of you that may have saved it, you probably would have seen that as well, or still have it as well. I am not opposed in any sense to anybody looking for a way to potentially, I don't know. I am unopposed in any form of carefully... Okay. Right now, I am unopposed in any way to anybody if you have copies of the original RCT3 Death Park 1, RCT3 Death Park 3 with 3s instead of E's, and RCT3 Death Park the 4th, Roman numeral 4. If you have any of those original on your save file, I am not opposed to you uploading it to YouTube as well. I will not react to them, but damn it, I'll go ahead and compliment you on that. But yeah, I applaud the person who actually re-uploaded this to allow stuff like this to happen. Thank you. Oh, and it reminded me. I did not make, colorful vertical. Now, colorful vertical, the quote of, "Hey, it's my turn," that was originally from the original, RCT Death Park 1. I did not think to change that after making Death Park Platinum. Why did I not do that in the first place? My theory is I just didn't think. That is not colorful at all. It's just red and blue, nothing else. And then right dead center in the middle, you could see right there, it's a spinning tower. The rotating tower is there. And if you look very carefully, both coasters are going in. You would expect both to hit a 180-degree turn, but no. See those extra lines? It's a 90-degree turn instead. How would you be able to do it? Well, you'll see. What happens instead is the middle one is there to make sure that both coasters go in sync, and you couldn't necessarily make the coasters go in sync if they were just like one piece apart from each other. So to make this work, I actually had to include a second blue coaster to the thing. I wanted to name it something like Colorful Vertical, and I ended up doing that, but I just didn't think about it. It was carried over from the last coaster without even... It was carried over from the last RCT Park without thinking. And that original one was a series of vertical drop coasters: red, yellow, green, blue. All of which took turns making their crash. This one, we had the one with their turn making the crash, and if you look very carefully, right here, it's about to happen. Once they go up, they start rotating simultaneously, and once they release, kabam, they start to crash at the same time. And of course, I abrupt cut. This one's named the Hersheys Explosion, for God knows what. I don't even know why I named it Hersheys Explosion, except for the fact that this was a Hershey Storm Runner. Now, for those of you that weren't aware, the guys at Frontier and Atari actually had a partnership with Hershey to put their content to put their brand into RCT3. How well that went, I have no idea. I guess that must have been the expired license agreement. I guess it must have been an expired licensing agreement with Hershey that caused the whole thing to fall through and caused the game to be removed from Steam. Expiring licenses? Think Hershey. Or it could be something else. No idea. We still have to wait to see what happens, but still. Did you notice? Did you notice that wall? That's also from the original Death Zone. I didn't even think to put it in until late. But, hey, there's more. Let's move on. There's more. Do you hate being in the sun all the time? Oh, yes, I do. Let's see. We have many ways of cooling you off, including... Watch. Aqua. If you count those A's carefully, does that remind you of a game? When I was still in college, that was one of the games that I used to play on my Twitch. A reckless disregard for gravity. I don't play it anymore. Why? Too tough. And I hate to punch myself for this. But still. I intentionally put the max boost on and made this dueling. What ends up happening here is both coasters end up falling into the water slides, I mean, end up having the peeps fall into the very same lake where I had the wet collision and the tour of the seas. It was intentional. And the next two also land in the same area. We have Bowl of Doom, which, coincidentally, if you think about this very carefully, I tried, in a sense, to... For those of you... when I was in... I moved to Florida back in 2017. 2007 was a time when I was still living in Massachusetts. New England area. In New England, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, there's a water park called Water Country. I tried to base the design of this one off of the, what is it? It's the Red Dragon water slide at Water Country. And I failed miserably. The turns are too wide. The turns are too wide. And there was also some limitations with RCT3 itself. The limitations were of the size of the turns. But still, the thing works. Why wouldn't it work to begin with? Now we got a Funnel of Doom with the exact same colors as Bowl of Doom. Why did I choose them? No idea. But what I do, that's not intentional for me to say, but what I do is change the colors last second. I don't know why. I thought it was fitting. And the last thing is the wildlife. What did I do here? Simple. I went into the menu for the animals, right? I pull out one of the fiercest animals in the wild, a male lion. Look at everybody running for their lives from whatever this randomly generated name is, the lion. I don't recall what it was called, but it would show you later on, probably. If it did, then would it? Oh, it didn't. It didn't because it didn't show up that panel. One of my biggest mistakes as well, going into the eyes of the animal. That was my other big mistake. I desperately wanted to show off something and failed miserably. And just ended it off with the lion just chasing everybody. I could have just ended it off on a grotesque moment, but I got too scared. I didn't want to do that. So I just ended early. Picking a park to go, come to our death park. Well, I tried. Ended up wasting 4 minutes of the viewer's life just from that. Why did I end up doing that? To put a very, joke at the very end to say, oh, this isn't real. I just wasted 4 minutes of your entire life just watching this whole thing. That's stupid of me. I'm also going to go ahead and skip the credits on this one, particularly because of... I'm just also going to go ahead and skip the credits here because of some things that I want to address, such as... Credits are boring. Credits are boring. That's as simple as I can get with this one. And with that, I am done with this reaction. I say, for one thing, that I sucked with this one. I absolutely sucked at the beginning. Everyone does suck, truthfully, to start things off. But, of course, if you think about it, there's always room for everyone to improve, especially years later down the road. And the big reason why I chose to do Let's Plays later down the road instead of going back to machinima like this was because at the time I was also doing some other comedic content, and it started to get a little stale after a while. I wanted to try something different. And that's what I ended up doing, switching over to Let's Plays, and look at where I am now. But anyway, that's going to do it for this reaction video. If you have other if you have things about this video that I didn't say, then feel free to put it down in the comments. I still don't like this video to this day after switching to Let's Plays. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, leave a like, post your comments, hit subscribe with that notification bell, share this video with your friends, And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one. Until next time.